We spend a lot more time working on our basics than we do on our forms, actually. Next one up, Kayla and Mel, be showing cutting focus. It's the advanced version of it. It demonstrates all the cutting that we have included in our forms work.
I'm so sorry. Did you not know that?
All of this basic work leads into having the fun of giving around. They do work hard. I don't give them enough credit when they do work hard, so you guys should. I mean, okay? So from here, Susan and Dimitri. Dimitri's still partly in costume. A sword dance is one of the competition versions of forms that we do. They are intended to tell a story and incorporate portions of forms, if not full forms. So this is the really big end. As we go after this, then you'll see the forms broken down into their standard versions. Tests are coming up soon. As they come out, get organized here again. Zach or Lexi, which one's up? Actually, Ben is here. Ben, you're up. I get mean and make them all go by rank order, so they have to figure out what they're going to do. You guys get a chance to see how the progression works. As a colored belt, they have 8 forms to learn to get to their black belt testing. In the process, we have drills, focus drills that were mentioned already, and sparring drills, combat drills that will not fit on the stage today, so they got omitted, but Ben's all set, right? Woo! So, one of the reasons we do these demos, panels, gotta get used to that part of being here, is to test people, challenge people. The last portion of the form you saw there is the one that Ben is currently working on for his next rank. Challenged himself, pushed it, made it work a little bit. Now, still working, figuring it out. Zach is up. Now, Ben had the mokum, 3 and 4 wooden sword. Those of you who have Japanese side experience on it, Bokan means the same thing. Majority of our training is done with mokums, the wooden swords. We can bring these out for demonstrations and testing mode and have a bunch more fun. Middle ranks can start swinging training metal swords during classes to get themselves practiced on drawing and putting it away. Zach has got this one all set. Difficulties, the downfall of having plastic scabbards. So, Lexi, you're up. So stress is one of the main parts for training in martial art. How do you handle stress? What happens when you mess up? Do you keep going? Or do you fail? Which, in a self-defense situation, if you freeze, lock up, it's not a good day for you. So, this is a good way to practice that. In a comfortable spot where you guys can just giggle and laugh with her. Now she has to remember to practice more. So, Mark, you're up.
Sir. Ready? Yeah. Okay, go. 시작.
last couple forms, you've seen that we're a little bit more flexible in our movements, which is a big variable from the Japanese style sword. The cartwheel, I can't do it, so I have another method on it. The rolls, the one-handed sword work, are all key factors or components of the Korean side martial art, and builds from there as you get better at cutting. Again, always about combat. Now, Mel is testing for her second Dan black in 2 weeks, and that was a slightly modified version of her black belt, her next test form requirements. Doesn't quite fit on the stage, so a couple little angle changes, but it also illustrates on her idea of stressing herself, presenting in front of people, doing the extra work to make herself better. Which one's up next? Kayla. Sometimes forms don't fit on the stage the way you plan them to. So, things get complicated, things get adjusted mid-form. Let's see what happens with Nicole's patterns as she tries it.
Performance during time work is typically endured after during
And then we'll see if I can do one. See if I fit on the stage the way I think. Okay, now we're off to the fun part. Questions so far? No? Enjoying it at least? Okay. Pardon? We do not do kendo style sparring. The sparring that's being developed through our federation is more tournament style sparring. We'll have big hogus and headgear, but it won't be the linear kind of sparring. It'll be all over the place. You'll have a regular ring, padded swords, and it'll also allow spinning cutting, jumping cutting. The only thing that won't be allowed are thrusts, because even with a safety sword, the tip is really hard. So, any other questions? As part of our work, we try to do a lot of cutting, and since targets are expensive, we try to set up demos and let people come out. So, not everyone has had a lot of practice cutting. And again, this is where I get mean and make them try to cut. Starting up in ranks, Mr. Ben. So, with the exception of myself and Nicole, who went right before me there, all of the metal swords you've seen on the floor have been practice swords. They're kagams, they're dull. This one is a mat cutter. Nicole's is a bit full bamboo cutter. What the differences are is gets into sword geometry. Mat cutters are considered samgakdos, 3-angle swords. They're made to cut light targets, which are what our mats are considered as. Chingams are yukyakdos, 6-angle swords. They're made to cut bamboo and harder targets. In all of our cutting, again, we go back and focus on the basics. So some of the fancy spin over your head kind of cuts that you saw in the forms, you will not see here. I have to remind them every so often. They get all excited, and nerves get away, and then they knock this whole stand over, and it's even more entertaining than just trying to cut. So, no rolling cuts, right cut, left cut. As you can see, practice continues to work. Who's going to help me with Matt's switch them out? And cutting is more than just swinging a sharp stick or a sharp piece of metal. If you don't have proper technique, you don't have to make the cut. We have had people stick the sword in the mat, not cut all the way through. We've had people little twist in the angle of the cut and knock the whole thing over. Oh, just wait, we'll do one more. Yeah. So, who's up? So, same thing, no rolling cuts. Now, Ben has not had a lot of cuts, he did really well. And you can see again the whole piece that we talked on stress and making sure you do technique correctly. So we're passing around a couple pieces here of what the mats, so you can see what they're actually looking like and feeling like. Mats are used to equate cutting an arm. The density of the mat works out to be about the density of an arm. Then you missed your chance here. Sir, we will need a broom. That's the downfall of hitting the target a little thin. And you can tell it's not always easy to aim a sword, which is another reason for cutting targets and practicing. In this as you go, the part that she's seeing out of this, even though she tries to go really fast, really quick, if the sword angle is not there, you don't go through the target as well. The key of it is, and she can check it later, she can see this little curve in it, it's not a straight angle. It's got a little dip to it, which means the sword turned as she went into the target. Key factor. You're out on the battlefield and you hit someone and your sword turns, now it's stuck in their body, you didn't cut off that part, you don't get to continue, they stab you with their sword or their buddy comes and gets you. So it's all about correct technique, and this is where we challenge it. Yes, you can keep it. Now, and then that is one, sometimes you get that right cut that you know you need to have. Oh, you can use yours. And then what, Nicole's left otherwise? Caleb? Have Caleb go first. Then I can put this away. Caleb. So Mark is also going to try his own cutting sword. So Caleb gets to go first. Sorry about dropping the mic. The piece you can find here, Kayla's job chain, so she hasn't had a chance to do a lot of extra cutting recently, and it helps illustrate how perishable skills are. Whether they're sword skills, empty hand skills, any of that stuff, if you don't do them regularly, you will lose them. So you need to continue practicing, continue training, so that it all carries over into everything else you do. Physical techniques are only a small portion of what you should be learning as you train. You should be able to apply them in your daily life, in your work, relationships, everything else. It's not all about killing the enemy. I always hate cutting after she does. Which brings up, yes, we do some competition. We've limited all of our competition. Well, not all of it. We've played in a couple local tournaments recently. But the main competitions that we do are federation events. World Championships in 2012. A couple of us went down to Mexican Nationals 2012. One of the guys went this year, he's not here today, where we get the chance to actually compete against our own group, kind of. The whole key factor for why we've continued competing with them is nobody really cares about who gets the trophy. In fact, all of the awards presentations are done off in another room and not in front of the whole public. So you win, you go over, get your stuff, come back, compete in the next event, and go on. So it's all about camaraderie, teaching, learning, and developing your technique. Now, I'll be the one that messes it up, right? finish cleaning up a little bit here. Do you guys have questions? Sir? Any part of the blade that's best to cut with the last 3 to 4 inches of it. You don't want to go too deep into the body, get it stuck. And if you are in combat, you're blocking with a portion closest to your hand, so that part of the edge gets dinged up and isn't nice. So the last 3 to 4 inches. Questions? Any other? I have been teaching for 8 years now. I've also been in Taekwondo for 35 and Aikido for 25. I had the opportunity, I found Gumdo when I took my 5th non-test in Taekwondo. I had 10 forms crammed into me that weekend. Came back and said, I need to continue. So I found the Federation and joined up. Yes, we cut bamboo, but not very often because it's really expensive to get shipped here. So if you know anyone that has bamboo growing, there are 5 species that grow in Minnesota. We just got to get them before the winter freeze and they die back. So get a hold of me if you know where bamboo is growing. We want to cut bamboo more. Federation events are out bamboo cutting. We don't do mats. Normal length of the sword is dictated by the size of the person swinging it, and then personal preferences after that. Generically, 5'10", 5'9", and under would be a 90 centimeter total length sword. 5'10" and up would be a 100 centimeter sword. This mat cutter that we have here is mine, and I like a little bit shorter blade because then I can make it move quicker. So I like the shorter blade with longer handle because of my height. So all that can end up being customized to what you need to go. So even swinging a wooden sword, my grip is about this long, much longer than the grip on the sword, wooden sword is, because I like that length. Anyone else? No?
You make your own swords?
No, we do not make our own swords. And a couple of guys, in fact, the paper cutters we're going to use here in a moment were made by one of the guys out of the Duluth class. He has a nice lathe, he likes to play with wood. The metal blades we order and go with. There's a couple of sources that we like. The big, heavy gym gums, the bamboo cutters, we actually order through our Federation, so that we have, anything happens to them, we get to return them and get them fixed for free. Someone over here? You? Did it get answered? What time is it? Yeah, our demos tend to go really quick, so we get the audience participation in at the end. How much does a sword really cost? Depends on what you want. Now, for everyday cutting that we have, the Paul Chen swords, Cass Hanway's brand, they're about $250 to $275, and they're good basic cutting swords. They're dependable. I have one that we use at outdoor demos for the last 5 years. It's had a couple dings in it. You notice as people are asking, can I cut once more? Where does the stand go? Pull the pin, bring the pin on over here. They were asking if they could cut one more time because the little pin that holds the mat on the stand, yeah, a couple of them hit the pin. And before we got this new sword stand set up, the pins were metal. So that Paul Chen that I have for the school has had a couple of dings in it. It's been ground down, it's been resharpened, but it's 7 years old now, and it's still cutting well. So, depending on the brand, $250, $300. Nicole's is expensive. Mine that I have at home that is my bamboo cutter, that was $1,500. That's a Federation sword, so that's about what the Federation charges. But you can get all the way up depending on what you want and what you're looking for. Sir? Can you tell what's a good sword? How do you tell? Unfortunately, this is going to sound like a canned answer. You get what you pay for. Yeah. A little bit of the research, Cass Hanway, Chenis, which is what Mark has, they've been around for a while and their stuff is regularly reviewed well. So going by some of the brand names, finding out who the forges are. I have a couple of $55 swords that I bought off of an online site that we use to cut watermelons and plastic and things like that, and they're sharp enough for those. The key of it is the acids in the fruit, the plastic in the bottles. The plastic embeds itself in the blade as you cut it, so they become useless very quickly. So a $55 sword is perfect for that kind of work. If you have questions further on it, more details, rather than give you a bunch of things now, get your name in over there and I'll shoot you an email later. Put a little note on it saying, or ask me about, or send me information about swords. Sir? How often do you sharpen it? Unless you're cutting paper and stuff that way, not very often. This sword's 2.5 years old now. It hasn't been sharpened. It's been cleaned every time we use it. My big expensive one has only been cleaned. The Paul Chen one has only been sharpened because it's had dings in it. So, cutting good targets, you don't need to sharpen them off. That kit. Yours too? Yeah.
How do you take care of the sword to prevent it from rusting?
Taking care of a sword. Sounds really corny, but cleaning it with Mag cleaner. It's a rim cleaner for car tires, stainless. Also works on the carbon steel blades. And then cleaning it really well, little coating of oil, put it away. If you don't clean it well, you will get little pit marks in it from where the oils have sat on it and started to rust it a bit. But it's not a real big process. Also, we do not follow, I probably got some groans from some of you guys, we are not a sword culture, so we don't follow that whole ritualistic sword cleaning that the Japanese style might. It's a tool, it's used, clean it, put it away, maintain it, but it's not way up here. Okay? It has a different purpose, a different viewpoint as we go. And I have nothing against the Japanese side of it. I haven't studied enough of it to know anything further than that. I know mine, and that's all. Anyone else? So one of the parts that these guys are used to is, if you ask me a question, you can get the whole answer. You're not going to get the political answer. I'm going to tell it to you completely, because I know what I want to know, and I wouldn't want to be told pretty stories and then find out later that it's not. So, straight up, plain simple. Here's the work we do. Go from there. Now, to finish off, we have a couple paper cutting swords. So these guys will come down. We'll do it down here so you have a chance to move around a little bit. And if you wish to cut paper, try to cut paper with a wooden sword. You can set that up and you can try it. Go on both sides here. The key that we'll do. Now, what are the illusions with cutting? You do not cut down. You cut forward. My cut goes forward until my body makes it come down. I say that because these are nice and light. They will move really fast, and I don't want to see you go bang and knock parts off the tip of the sword. Cutting goes forward. No matter what cut you're actually doing, it travels forward according to your body and the way it moves. It only comes back to me because my body can't go forward anymore. As you look at that, it is about how quick you cut, not about how hard. This is not an axe. We don't swing it that hard. It's a sword. It was quoted just the other day from one of the guys. I can't remember the name of the movie now. The other illustration now came, if you're old enough to remember Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard. She took the sword off the wall. How sharp is this? He held it edge up. He let her silk scarf fall across it and cut. It's sharp. You don't need to swing it hard to let it cut. Okay? Axes use the weight of the axe to make the cut work. They chop things, they don't cut things. As you play, we have a couple different sizes here, so we can go according to your height. If you wish to, come on up here in the middle, and we'll split off to the sides. As we cut paper, holders please. Up over there please. You can also come up and ask questions yet too if you want.